Hi, this is FolaFayo, the Perception Shaper, and I'm here to share with you ideas around thriving in the home space. This is actually going to be the first in a series of about 3, 4, or maybe even just 2 videos where I'm going to be sharing some things that if you're in the home space will be helpful for you to really thrive in this space. Let me tell you a bit about my own journey. Sometimes in 2009, I'd been working for some years in the bank, but then I realized that I wanted to do more. And because of the split family setup we had in our family, it was impossible for me to do more because my husband was working out of town. I was the one with the kids, and our kids were less than 7 years old at that time or so. So for me, it just didn't look like it was something that I would be able to do well if I was going to be doing more, working in the bank, managing the children. And so at that time, the best thing that I could think of was to resign and leave. And that was how I transitioned into the home space. However, now, I didn't have anyone telling me things I needed to look out for, things I needed to consider. And so after a bit, I would say I got to a point where I wasn't actually getting the best out of the space. I was living life. I was enjoying some things, definitely my family, definitely some other opportunities to rest and to grow, but I wasn't getting to the best possible. But then I would tell you that I got to a point eventually where I would say that I now started to do things more intentionally in my space, and I started to see growth. I started to see changes, transformations, in fact, to a point where I felt confident enough to be able to share some of those things that I'd come to learn with other people. And so that was my transition into the home space. I don't know if you're in the home space or if you're considering being in the home space, but definitely if you fall into any of the categories I've mentioned, then this is definitely the video you want to watch to the end. Like I said, it's the first in a series of the Thrive at Home conversation we're going to be having, and I'm hoping that you will definitely have something to take away. Now, today we're just going to be talking about 3 myths or 3 kind of ideologies that people have when they think about being in the home space, because I believe very much that if you're able to have this dealt with in your mind, you'll be able to approach the opportunity of being at home more, even in a better way. If you've not got your cheat document of the Thrive at Home material that we put out some years back, this is the time for you to, get your copy. I'm going to put the link in the caption box below, and I would expect that, if you also have questions after going through it and getting your download, you'll be able to reach me, FolaFayo@FolaFayo.com. So now going back to the 3 myths. Now, the first myth that I believe that a lot of people find troubling, when you're thinking about coming into the home space, is this idea that, you're wasting time when you are home, especially if you're someone from where I come from, the African side of the world. Where if you've gone to school, the expectation from your loved ones, particularly your parents, that you should be practicing. So if you studied medicine in school, you should be practicing medicine. You should be a doctor in a renowned hospital or something. And if you, did accounting, you should be working with a firm. So when you come up telling your parents that, oh, you know what, I'm going to resign, I want to do some things from the home space, it kind of makes people feel uneasy that you took so long in school, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and now you're saying that you don't want to practice formally or professionally. It's kind of like a disturbing suggestion to any of your loved ones, right? And they are thinking first that you will be wasting time. I must say that that is actually not true, because wasting time has nothing much to do with where you are. You could actually be in the corporate space and be wasting time. The important thing that you want to factor in is, at any place you are in life, are you pursuing a focused goal? Are you pursuing your dreams? Are you pursuing your passion? Because if you're in the home space and you're pursuing your passion, then you are not wasting time and you are making the very best of that season for you. You might be in the corporate space making good money, but yet you're not even pursuing the things that matter to you. So the question you need to ask yourself as you think about transitioning to the home space, or if you're currently in the home space, is to say, am I making the best of it? Is this really what I want for myself at this time? And how can I make sure that I am giving the best that I can where I am? And if that is definitely covered, then we've also covered that myth. All right. Now, the second myth is that people think that because you're in the home space, you automatically will be doing all the chores in the house. I must tell you that that is not also the case, because when you're someone who has more time at home, if you're the dad or you're the mom, the truth is, apart from being present, your family need you to be emotionally strong. And if you want to think about it, doing house chores can be quite exhausting. So if you're someone who's going to tell yourself that from morning till evening, when everyone has left to when they come back, you're going to be doing the cleaning, doing the cooking, grocery shopping, ironing, and everything else that has to be done to make the house in a great state, you are going to be exhausted. By the time your loved ones return back home, you're not going to have the capacity or the ability to be able to bless them with what kind of emotional presence that they deserve at that time. So if you think about it, you want to be looking at opportunities to delegate, to outsource, or to buy machines that can actually make it easier for you. So if you need to build a budget to save something so that you can have things like a washing machine, a dishwasher, especially for those of us in parts of the world where we didn't grow up with those kind of machines and home gadgets, you definitely want to think about it. But if you're also someone who is saying that, okay, I'm not sure about that, it's easier for me to get someone who will come in once in 2 weeks, once in a week to ease me off the stress of, doing house chores, you definitely want to consider. But do not think that because you have more time at home, you automatically have to be the one doing every single house chore in your family. Because I must tell you, for those of us that don't really like physical work per se, and it could be quite tiring, when we think about that, that might be the reason why we are still staying in the corporate space, because we're like, I'm not going to go home and say I'm saving costs for my family and doing all those house things, right? Now, the third myth that I think that a lot of people find, challenging when you're thinking about being in the home space is thinking that growth or development for them comes to a stop because they don't deserve an allocation or a budget in the family budget to be able to grow themselves and develop themselves. Let me tell you something. As long as you have a spouse who is going out, as long as you have kids who are going out to school, a spouse who is going out to work, having meetings at work, meeting with clients or meeting with colleagues or senior colleagues, and even going for trainings, they have their minds developing. They have their minds growing, and they would want to have conversations with you. And I see that even happens a bit in some marriages where, because there's been no intentional plan around the stay-home mom developing herself, after a while, there now will be a gap, between the kind of conversations the husband can have with her. So if you're someone who is planning to be in the home space, you want to make sure that you're seeing yourself as someone who deserves to deliberately plan that you're going to be developing yourself. You could go for trainings to help you, do certain things around the house more. You could go for trainings that have to do with you being updated in the area that you actually went to school for. In fact, that could also ease the mind of your loved ones when they know that you are at least going for trainings. I know that one training that I went for once at Harvard on leadership actually piqued the interest of some people, because they were like, you are staying at home, you're doing a bit of photography. Why would you be going to Harvard? Because at that time, my husband and myself had realized that is something that I required for the things that I plan to come into. So if you have any of these disturbing ideas holding you back from coming into the home space, you definitely want to reconsider it, because I can tell you, being in the home space for me has been very fulfilling. Not only am I having the time to pursue the things that matter to me and having the time to grow myself, to be a blessing to people, but I'm also present in a good way for my husband and for my children. So again, like I said, this is the first part in the series on Thrive at Home. I hope that you will be looking out for the next parts in the series to get ideas on how you can thrive better in the home space. Now, if you don't want to wait for any of the other episodes in this series to support you, please send me a mail, FolaFayo@FolaFayo.com, or a DM if you're on Instagram, TAH, Thrive at Home, and then we can connect and then have a conversation on what exactly you might need help with at this point in time to thrive better in the home space. God bless you. Bye-bye.